Jungkook and Taehyung recently did a live stream together, and it truly made it very clear that the bond between them remains as strong as ever. The beautiful thing was seeing how, despite their different situations, they sought out the moment together. Jungkook was working out, and Taehyung was eating peacefully. Although they can't always go to the gym together, they find a way to coincide and maintain the habit of being present in each other's lives. For them, sharing time seems to be a habit that has become natural. It doesn't matter if one is exercising and the other is relaxing, the essential thing is that they are there together. The interesting thing about this livestream is that it wasn't just a moment of entertainment, but a reflection of what they experience day to day. Jungkook and Taehyung show with their actions what many fans already comment, that Jungkook usually prioritizes Taehyung and that their relationship isn't just a passing thing. Over the months, Taehyung has provided moments like this, and they all end up standing out because they convey a closeness that is impossible to ignore. One of the most striking moments was when Taehyung shared that they've recently started running together. It's no longer just about working out at the gym, now they're looking for new activities to continue spending time together. This decision reflects how little by little their relationship is adapting, growing, and strengthening. Sharing exercise routines isn't just about health, it's also a way to stay connected and reinforce the companionship they both value. When you observe these interactions, you notice a significant difference compared to the past. Before, we used to see them engaged in group activities, rehearsals, stage performances, filming. Now, they share things that are part of their daily lives. And that speaks to a deeper trust, because they're not thinking about showing something for the cameras, but about truly experiencing it. Taehyung talking about running with Jungkook may seem like a small detail, but it actually shows a commitment. Exercising together requires consistency, effort, and desire. In other words, it's not just something spontaneous, but a habit that involves looking out for each other. Every run, every workout, ends up being a reminder that they enjoy each other's company. This is what makes Taehyung stand out. They aren't planned moments to prove anything, they're real situations that they share without much thought. And that naturalness is what makes them so special to those who follow them. Although some try to compare them to other relationships, like Jaekook's or Jungkook's closeness to his favorite, the truth is that what Jungkook and Taehyung have speaks for itself. Jungkook himself, by appearing so comfortable and close with Taehyung, confirms how much that connection means to him. He doesn't need grand gestures or words, because it shows in the way he always includes him in his routines. It's as if being together is normal, expected, what he's always wanted. In the same live stream they did, Taehyung once again gave us a moment that many will remember. While Jungkook was focused on his training, he blurted out something very simple but important. He said he was planning to go eat samgyeopsal with Taehyung afterward. The curious thing is that these kinds of situations don't seem planned. When Jungkook and Taehyung appear together, they do so because they want to, not because they have any obligation to show anything. In these live streams, there's no team behind them controlling what they do or a row of cameras recording every move. It's just them, with their phones, sharing a moment that they could have kept to themselves, but which they decide to open up a little so those watching can see. That's one of the things that makes the most difference. Often, when Jungkook appears on screen alongside Jimin, the situation is completely different. There's a staff present, a well-defined script, and content that's part of what the company needs to show. Everything is carefully planned, from the lighting to what they say. And of course, in those cases, they have to look happy, because they know they're being filmed from every angle. That doesn't happen with Taekook. When they decide to connect, they do it their way. It's just the two of them, in a private moment, showing what they really do when they're together. And that completely changes the way they perceive each other, because they don't seem to be acting for anyone. What you see is what you get, two people sharing in a real way. The fact that Jungkook talked about going out to eat with Taehyung after training makes it clear. It was just part of the conversation, like when you tell someone what you're going to do later. And that's precisely why it was so significant, because it reflects that their plans to spend time together are common, part of their daily lives, not something extraordinary. This isn't new for them. Taekook has shown more than one example. They train together, go for runs, share meals, and even just simple breaks. And they do it almost always in private, without anyone else around. It's this repetition that ultimately makes it clear that it's not a coincidence, but rather a habit that's part of their relationship. What sets Taekook apart from other interactions is that they don't try to convince anyone. They don't try to put on a show or show off what they're not. They don't need someone to direct them to make it seem like they're getting along. Their thing happens naturally, and when they let others see it, the impression that remains is that it's only a small part of what they share daily. When compared to more prepared situations like jungkook's, the difference is noticeable. While jungkook's has cameras and staff directing the scene, Taekook's portrays a private moment turned public by their own decision. The live stream in which Jungkook mentions samgyeopsal with Taehyung was a reminder that their plans together don't depend on official scenarios or the company of staff. They are plans of someone who prefers to share their time with the other person, even down to the simplest details, like choosing what to have for dinner. Some might think that everything that happens between Taehyung and Jungkook is simply a game, something designed only for entertainment. However, when you carefully observe how they look at each other, how they touch each other, or how they approach each other without worrying about who's watching, the perception changes. It's not a staged spectacle or a script they must follow. What you see is an emotional reality that arises naturally and needs no embellishment. The interesting thing about Taehyung is that they often don't require words to express themselves. Their relationship is built and shown in small gestures, a glance, a caress, a movement that seems insignificant but, when repeated, makes it clear how much it means. This is where the difference between what some call fan service and what they actually convey lies. With Taehyung, you don't perceive a forced act, but rather the naturalness of two people who are comfortable with each other. A clear example was the moment when Jungkook, in the middle of a live stream, mentioned that after training he planned to go eat samgyeopsal with Taehyung. It wasn't a prepared comment or an announcement to build anticipation. He said it with the simplicity with which anyone shares their daily plans. And that, far from making it seem less important, is what makes it a significant detail. It shows that their get-togethers aren't special events, but rather part of their daily lives. What for many might be an inconsequential comment, for those who follow Taehyung closely, becomes further confirmation of how common it is to see them together. This isn't the first time they've shared routines, and it won't be the last. They've shown on several occasions how they train, run, go out to eat, or simply relax together. These aren't spectacular moments produced by a camera crew, but rather fragments of what they themselves experience privately and choose to share from time to time. One of the strongest characteristics of Taehyung and Jungkook's relationship is precisely that, their way of communicating without needing to speak. A simple gesture between them can have more meaning than a long conversation. This silent connection is difficult to imitate because it's not something learned or imposed, but rather the trust they have built over the years. Of course, not everyone interprets it the same way. Some people think it's all part of a staged spectacle, what's known as fan service. According to this view, the gestures of closeness are merely a strategy to create content and maintain the audience's interest. But if you analyze Taehyung's interactions in detail, the difference is clear. Fan service is often accompanied by cameras, staff, and an atmosphere where every move seems planned. However, when Taehyung and Jungkook are together, what emerges is the naturalness of two people acting as they would in private, without concern for the audience. Every glance between them feels authentic because it's not conditioned by a script. Every touch occurs regardless of the thousands of eyes watching them. And that spontaneous way of acting is what makes their relationship stand out from any attempt to compare it to bonds built for the stage. What happened when Jungkook talked about going out to eat with Taehyung is a perfect example of this difference. It was just a sentence in an ordinary conversation, but it revealed how they organized their time together without needing to announce it as a special event. For them, sharing a meal after training isn't something extraordinary, it's part of what they usually do. And that habit is what makes it clear how strong their connection is.